All right, well, here we are at Adobe Max 2010. I mean, we've seen a lot of consumer-based technologies in RIA use and you know, things like Google TV and Air on phones and things like that. But in the context of business users, like what is this? What is sort of this enterprise RIA or business RIA stuff?
Enterprise RIA is a marketing term. It's a group of technologies, a set of methodologies, you know, a set of best practices. There's some patterns that we bring from SOA, from experience design, from user experience, kind of bring them to bear on applications. If I think about it from an enterprise perspective, it's connected to a back-end systems. It's got audit and control mechanisms in place that are going to please IT. It's going to make sure that that application gets to live and doesn't just get ripped out kind of later on. You know, but the bottom line is RIA is just a term. It's yet another kind of technology acronym. It's air backwards. You know, I think it's kind of about as passe as color TV, and we're going to have these applications at the edge. Maybe we want to call them edgeware or whatever we're going to call it, that ultimately integrate, talk to, manipulate data from, collect information and collect user interactions in a meaningful way and apply them against those underlying systems. And I really mean everywhere, because I see it, yes, I see it in the consumer space, I see it on TVs, I see it, you know, running on hundreds of different kinds of devices, but I see it as B2B, as B2C, as, you know, within supply chain, as a way of a doctor understanding a patient history, a way for a loss adjuster in the insurance market to understand and interact with a situation that's taking place in the field. We're replacing metaphors from our everyday life. We're replacing human interaction with a much more intuitive way than previous applications brought to us. We don't go through our life in a page-based metaphor, kind of clicking on next, 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 or navigating using a drop-down in order to organize our thoughts. That's counterintuitive. But if you design something based on my goals, based on my motivations, if you use persuasion, some game theory, give me some beautiful, emotional kind of graphics that are going to make me feel engaged and make me feel like I'm part of something, then that's a rich experience. And this is really just about an experience at the end of the day. My experience happens to be with a business or with an enterprise. And that comes with conditions and expectations that I have of that company, I have of that brand, and that persistent brand needs to trickle and bleed through the interface in such a way that I feel compelled to keep using it, that I feel compelled to share with other people what a great experience it is. So, you know, I like to kind of push that terminology aside and say it's an opportunity for designers and developers to work together. These two sumo wrestlers that used to be facing off each other on the mat and, you know, banging their bellies into each other while seeing who could yell the loudest, that was kind of a pointless development kind of waterfall exercise. And instead what we have is this great collaboration that can take place where I can use an agile methodology. I can shift ideas back and forth in the design and development process. I can prototype at high speed, and I can take advantage of what I learned from that prototype, inject that back into my applications, you know, use it in different and new and exciting ways, share components of what I've learned with my other developer friends and my other designers. Let that brand persist through the development and design process across everything that we're doing on top of the enterprise. So I've taken this clunky Siebel, you know, highly complex SAP backend. I'm not forcing you to self-select yourself into a database like a bunch of columns and rows, and I'm not using a page. You're not clicking through life going next, next, next. You're going through completing a goal. You're going through following through on what you're motivated to do, and you just happen to be doing it in the context of an application.
Can you sort of explain in this context what engagement or an engaging user experience looks like in a business context?
I think it's maybe it's as base as the laws of attraction. It's as, you know, as common as feeling, you know, compelled to sit down in front of a piece of art and study it for a few minutes. When you hear a piece of music for the first time and you know, a shiver runs up the back of your spine, there's some magic that happens in design, and we persist that through the interface in such a way that people feel that compelling need to interact with it. Yeah, I'm sure I'm captured on your motivation. I didn't happen to hear music because, you know, just out of the blue. I like music. I went and found music. I just happened to find a piece that I became really interested in. And in this case, I needed to do something. I needed to get something done. And a designer who understood that, understood my motivation, who spent time understanding what it was that I wanted, took some additional time, some extra time to build in my motivation, to build in my need to that. And I recognize that. And that's what's engaging me. I recognize my own needs being met. I recognize maybe in some cases intuitively, that, you know, this is for me, it's something I really want to do, and in other cases maybe really logically, because I understand, I have a process in mind. Maybe I want to go through and fill out my tax return, or I want to purchase a complex service from, you know, an insurance company or a bank. I'm not really thinking about bank, and I'm not thinking about brand, and I'm not thinking about application. I'm thinking about driving my new car properly insured. I'm thinking about making sure my family's safe, or that my property's safe. I'm thinking about how much that's going to cost me maybe at the end of the day, and how to factor that into my budget. And maybe I've got some kind of thoughts or competitive quotes or all of those kind of things. These little things that happen in my life that are motivating me to do that are opportunities for design to recognize my situation, my own personal experience, and kind of bleed that, persist that through the interface in such a way. And that's going to make me feel better about what I'm doing. I'm more likely to share that experience, and I'm less likely to have buyer remorse at the end of the cycle, because I felt good through that. Somebody was actually holding my hand, but they were doing it in this invisible kind of untethered way, and I felt okay about that.
So in sort of like the Adobe ecosystem, I mean, Adobe obviously sells the software that builds these kind of experiences. Can you give us a sense for the kind of like ecosystem of other people out there who are building these kinds of applications?
Sure. I think that's critically important. In fact, I would say the most important thing for Adobe to succeed in our new mission around customer experience management is to embrace our partner ecosystem, to understand the new skill sets, to put our arms around business analysts and usability analysts in a way that we haven't in the past, to make sure that we can act as a catalyst to move a discussion back and forth between a business need and an IT need, to help each other understand, you know, what's going to change, what's culturally going to have to change, what's going to change from a delivery point of view, where am I going to feel uncomfortable in this process, what's going to make me feel, you know, this isn't how I've done things in the past. There's a new opportunity for user experience professionals. I think it's their time in the sun. I see the growth of community. I see the growth of online dialogue. I see the growth of the terms, you know, in social channels like Twitter, etc. The conversation around user experience is increasing, and it's an opportunity for us to not only continue to provide great tools, server platforms, things that help you get your job done, things that push products to market faster, things that ensure that services are secure and built in an enterprise way, but maybe even more importantly, to have the right conversations with the right professionals and put them together with our customers so that they can form, you know, the meaningful relationship that's going to be required to get this stuff built.